Can you say 3 nice things about Nicki Minaj?
Can you?
Number 10, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. For over 4 years, these men have clashed over just about everything, and they haven't exactly tried to keep their rivalry a secret. It started in 2016 when a SpaceX rocket explosion destroyed a $200 million Facebook satellite. Zuckerberg issued a statement saying he was deeply disappointed about the launch and called SpaceX a failure. 2 years later, Musk reignited the feud and tweeted, "Yeah, my fault for being an idiot. We did give them a free launch to make up for it, and I think they had some insurance." But when Facebook became embroiled in the Cambridge Analytica scandal, things got a whole lot worse. Musk publicly deleted all of his company's Facebook pages and said, "It's not a political statement, and I didn't do this because someone dared me to do it. I just don't like Facebook. Gives me the willies. Sorry." He also criticized Facebook's data sharing practices and shared several memes that implied the company was spying on its users. Oh, and they also got into a fight about the future of AI. So clearly they have never seen eye to eye.
At number 9, we have MGK and Eminem. No one can forget these two's epic diss tracks posted by the rapper MGK and Eminem. The feuds date all the way back to 2012 when MGK tweeted about Eminem's daughter Haley. And it wasn't exactly what a father of a teenage girl would want to read on the internet. Now after the two's followed over a song MGK was featured on for Tech9's 2018 No Reason, in the lyrics he threw some shade at Eminem by referring to his track Rap God. MGK would say, "To remind you all, you just rap and you're not a rap god." Eminem would later clap back with his own diss track called Not Alike, where he made fun of MGK featured on Tech9's song. In an interview later, Eminem would confirm that the two's conflict had way more to do with Haley, and it was more because the rapper said he was the greatest rapper alive since his favorite rapper banned him from Shade 45. When MGK released his diss track Rap Devil, Eminem came to destroy Kelly's rap career with his own diss track.
Number 8, Adam Levine and Lady Gaga. The Maroon 5 frontman has had several feuds with female artists over the years, but his feud with Lady Gaga really takes the cake. He first criticized her music in 2011 when he tweeted, "Lady Gaga took Vogue and Express Yourself and put them in a blender. The result? Born This Way." Then, only 2 years later, he slammed her creative choices when she dropped her Applause video from Art Pop, which referenced several major works of art throughout history. Adam wrote, "Ugh, recycling old art for a younger generation doesn't make you an artist. It makes you an art teacher. I unabashedly love writing and performing pop music for both myself and everyone around me. That's it. It doesn't need any extra sauce." To which Lady Gaga responded by tweeting, "Uh-oh guys, the art police is here." Adam then wrote, "By the way, I'm not an artist. I sing in a band and I make music with my friends." He also went on to criticize her grammar on Twitter.
Loving this video far? Please hit that like button. It would really help us out. At number 7, we have Vin Diesel and The Rock. You know the saying, don't turn your back on family? Well, the stars Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, that statement doesn't exist. The two actors made their first on-screen appearance with each other in 2011 while filming The Fast 5. The Rock joined the set as Luke Hobbs, an agent pursuing the Fast and Furious crew for their various crimes against every law enforcement agency across the world. Everything seemed fine when he returned for the 6th and 7th entry of the series. However, in 2016, Dwayne went to his Instagram to refer to unnamed members of the cast as cowardly, timid people. Rumors then started to circulate that he was insulting Vin Diesel. A few days after filming for The Fate of the Furious and it wrapped up, Johnson posted another Instagram thanking some of his castmates by name, but didn't mention Vin Diesel. While The Rock never identified his target, Vin Diesel would later come to confirm it was in fact him in an Instagram video. Later, the duo's co-star, Michelle Rodriguez, would come to confirm that there was tension between the men on set, but it was nothing more than any kind of disagreement any close friend could have.
Number 6, Olivia Wilde and Shia LaBeouf. Shia was initially cast as a lead in Olivia's movie Don't Worry Darling, which she was directing. But soon after production started, news broke out that she had fired him and replaced him with Harry Styles. Olivia then said that she fired him due to a no a-hole policy that she has while directing. She told Variety that his process was not conducive to the ethos that she demands in her productions. He has a process process that, in some ways, seems to require a combative energy. She said that she needed to protect the cast from Shia, but Shia was not happy with this side of the story and decided to publicly expose her for lying. He told Variety that he quit her film because he couldn't find time to rehearse with the cast, and in the most explosive revenge move ever, he then leaked a video of Olivia practically begging him to stay in the film, and made it clear that he was never fired in the first place. The video went viral and the result was utter chaos.
Number 5. Bruce Willis. Before Bruce quit the acting business for good, he was part of some of the best action films of all time. The Try Hard series, The Fifth Element, and of course the first two Expendables movies. The Expendables is a stellar action series that sees Hollywood's most legendary leading men come together in one epic showdown. The first film was written and directed by Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone, and he called in all of the favors. The cast included Jet Li, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, and so many more, including Bruce Willis. Unfortunately, he was fired from the third film in the franchise following a dispute with Sylvester involving his contract. Before the truth broke, Sylvester tweeted that he had great news, Bruce Willis was out and Harrison Ford was in for Expendables 3. And a few minutes later, he followed it up by simply writing, "Greedy and lazy, a sure formula for career failure." And it was pretty obvious that something went down behind the scenes, and it was rumored that Willis had asked for over $1 million per day to film the third movie. Despite their off-screen argument and Bruce's recasting, the two were able to reconnect and squash their beef for good. Number 4. Stacey Dash. While a ton of firing stories end with allegations, the situation between Lisa Ray McCoy and Stacey Dash is actually pretty straightforward. McCoy had Dash fired from their show. That's it. During the first season of the VH1 series Single Ladies, the two actresses clashed on basically everything, which led to McCoy taking action. She admitted to having a hand in getting her co-star fired before the start of the second season. In an interview with Vibe, she stated that in Hollywood she learned to be a boss. She had to say to Stacey, "Get your mother flippin' finger out of my face," which was the final breaking point. For the second season of the show, a replacement was brought in for Miss Dash, who went on to star in some other stuff. Number 3. Rose McGowan. So let's talk about the show Charmed for a second. It was a solid series that was on air for almost 10 years. The series followed 3 sisters that discover they are descendants of a line of female witches and are destined to fight against the forces of evil. It was a fun show, however, just because you play sisters on set doesn't mean that you're going to be close in real life. Rose McGowan and Alyssa Milano had a very public altercation that resulted in a little incident on set being shared with the entire world. Rose claimed that Alyssa threw a fit in front of the crew, yelling that they didn't pay her enough to do the things she was doing, and only she didn't say the thing she was doing, she said a swear word. She called Alyssa's behavior appalling and claimed that she cried every time the show would get renewed for another season because it just meant more time on a toxic set with Alyssa. Alyssa never shared her own comments on the situation, basically confirming what she was being accused of. Number 2. Bill Murray. Sony's big first move into the world of Charlie's Angels was actually fantastic. The first round of films starred Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the titular angels. They were filled with action, a little bit of comedy, and just one of the strangest performances ever delivered from Crispin Glover. I mean, one of. That dude does a lot of weird stuff. One interesting addition to the cast was the inclusion of Ghostbusters alumni Bill Murray as Bosley, their boss. Apparently the set was anything but a comedy though, after Bill found out that a scene was rewritten while he was away. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke up about her time on set and the situation with Bill. Apparently Bill was away for a family event when a scene needed to be refilmed. Instead of using a stand-in, it was decided that the scene could be filmed without Murray's character even being involved, so it went on without him. When he returned to find that the changes were made while he was gone, he was furious and just shouted at everyone, including Lucy. At first, she wasn't sure why he was aiming his comments at her. She didn't do anything, she didn't write it, right? She asked if Bill was specifically speaking to her, and apparently that just set him off. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior on set, and he was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy is awesome for speaking her mind despite being a relatively unknown actor at the time, and so far she seems pretty glad that Bill's career is suffering for it, because Lucy was just the first of many celebrities to comment on his behavior, but we'll talk about that another time. Number 1. Janet Hubert. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to his time on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The show followed him as the titular prince living with his wealthy family in Bel-Air, surrounded by cousins, uncles, and Aunt Viv. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Witten, but as a lot of people know, in season 2 she was recasted after an on-set feud with Will went a bit too far. According to Will, Janet just viewed him as an antagonist in her life. She had been in a business for years when suddenly Will Smith popped in. She held this tinge of jealousy towards him because he just kinda came to town, got a job, and boom, that was it. Well, hey, that's what happens when you're good at your job, right? She was trying to convince the producers to give her character more time and allow her to breathe, but they said no, because it's not the Aunt Viv show, it's the Fresh Prince show. She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she was going to be asked to sit out of the rest of the series and be replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who we all know and love as the real Aunt Viv. Number 10, Leah Remini. Morning talk shows seem to have a new host popping in and out every season. Shows like The View and The Talk are known for having a revolving door policy when it comes to their hosts. For one reason or another, many hosts have been fired over the years, from on-screen altercations to backstage drama. For King of Queens alumni Leah Remini, she was fired due to an issue stemming from fellow host Sharon Osbourne. Remini premiered in season 1 of the show, demonstrating blunt honesty and a certain laid-back style of conversation. According to Leah, Sharon Osbourne did not like that at all. Not only was Leah fired after the first season, but her fellow co-host Holly Robinson Pete was also let go for little to no reason. However, Remini posted on her Twitter page calling Sharon out for having too much power on the show, alleging that she knew Sharon had a hand in herself and Holly being let go from the program. Leah claimed that herself and Holly were just too street for Sharon's liking. They weren't funny enough or awkward enough to make good TV. Sharon has denied those allegations to this day, and no one has spoken to each other in person since the firing. Number 9. Shanine Doherty. Unfortunately for Shanine, she gained quite the reputation in Hollywood for being fired due to an issue with her co-star. She may or may not be making another appearance on this list. I guess you'll just have to stick around and find out. For the first entry though, we're looking back to a very popular series, teen drama 90210. The series following the lives of the Walsh family as they moved from Minneapolis to Beverly Hills. Doherty played the character Brenda Walsh, with her character eventually befriending several students at Beverly Hills High, including Donna Martin, played by Tori Spelling. The series was a hit after its initial season, however, with increased popularity came massive ego boosts. Doherty and Spelling started clashing on set all of the time, adding additional drama to the production team that they really did not need. Considering Tori's father, Aaron Spelling, was the producer on the show, it's pretty simple to piece together what happened. Doherty claims that she was officially let go for having a haircut that messed up the continuity of the show, but a wig could have fixed that, so you better believe Tori Spelling told her papa to boot her from the series. Number 8. Lindsay Lohan. In the early 2000s, Lindsay Lohan faced a ton of public scandals, but one that's not talked about often enough actually took place behind the scenes of a TV show called Ugly Betty. Lohan was a guest star on the show in the 3rd season, playing Kimmy Keegan. Kimmy was supposed to stick around for 6 total episodes, but eventually that number was shrunken down to 4, the reason being that her co-star and the lead of the show, America Ferrera, just did not get along with Lindsay on set. According to America, and actually quite a few of the Ugly Betty crew, Lindsay would show up with an entourage of people and usually under the influence of herbs and spices, and the production crew had to literally repaint her dressing room when she left because it was so messed up. One crew member alleged that she would cut images of her own face out of magazines and tabloid articles like she were making a collage or something. That sounds a little made up, but not out of the realm of possibility. America claims that one scene took over 30 takes to get right because they just kept flubbing their lines. Lindsay's team of buddies have been adamant that America had too much power and was the sole reason that she was asked to leave the show. Unfortunately, if you do bad things and enough people know about it, karma just kinda comes back around. Number 7. Selma Blair. It's funny that this entry involves Charlie Sheen getting a woman fired when he himself has been fired from several projects and for a few reasons. After being fired from 2.5 Men, Sheen returned to the acting world, headlining his own show called Anger Management. It premiered in 2012 with the cast featuring Hellboy alumni Selma Blair, playing his colleague and friend with benefits on the show. However, Sheen's terrible behavior continued to haunt him from his 2.5 Men days. Blair was very vocal on her problems with Charlie, especially his messy work ethic. Charlie heard about this and he was having none of it. He threatened to quit the show if Blair was going to remain a part of the cast. Sheen got his way and Blair was let go after starring in just 54 episodes. The show didn't last long though. Who would have guessed that a messy actor being the lead was a bad idea? The show was ultimately cancelled in 2014. Number 6. Aaron Hayes. The King of Queens was arguably the peak of Kevin James and his comedy. For 9 seasons, people tuned in to see Kevin and his on-screen wife, Leah Remini, deliver entertaining banter and genuinely memorable moments as their chemistry together was electric. Kevin made another move into the world of sitcoms in 2016 when the show Kevin Can't Wait premiered. Another family-style sitcom, only this time Kevin was paired with actress Aaron Hayes. While she was not a bad actor in the slightest, it was a special guest appearance from Leah Remini that sealed her fate. She appeared in the season 1 finale and their chemistry was still so strong that it was announced that Hayes' character would be written off the show and literally had her character tragically pass away. At the same time, Remini was announced as a new series regular beginning in season 2. Though the show cited that firing Aaron was purely a creative choice and in no way was reflected in her abilities as a performer, the firing then sudden hiring of his co-star from the past is just a little bit of a coincidence. Just a little bit. Aaron has never given a reason to believe that the studio was lying and has continued to have a pretty solid career, but luckily for her, season 2 tanked and the show was ultimately cancelled in 2018.
Number 5. Drake and Kanye West. When the friendship and working relationship between Kanye and Drake abruptly dissolved following a project the two were working on, it became nearly impossible for fans to keep up on their latest feuds. Back in 2018, things took a sharp turn for the duo as the two began to proceed to hurl insults back and forth in a form of diss tracks. On one of these tracks, it even revealed Drake had a son. Drake felt like he was betrayed by Kanye when he went behind his back regarding his child, because Drake confided in Kanye just before that he was having trouble with his son's mother. The fire reignited between the stars after Drake started following Kim on social media after the reality star split from Kanye. Kanye wrote to his Instagram about the matter to say, "Imagine having a problem with somebody and they follow your wife on Instagram." However, Drake seemingly went after Kanye on his album Certified Lover Boy in September of 2021. The two have since seemed to have put their past behind them.
Number 4. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase. The actors are both well known as comedic heavyweights who helped launch SNL into mainstream success. But in 1978, when Chase returned as a guest host, the two of them got into a physical altercation and began insulting one another. Murray first confronted Chase, telling him that everyone hated him. They then got into a screaming match which started a physical fight between the two men. SNL star Jane Curtin witnessed the fist fight and said, "It was sad and painful and awful. It was that same kind of tension you would get in a family. It was uncomfortable. I think they both knew the one thing that they could say to one another that would really hurt the most." In a 2012 interview, Murray said that he and Chase were friends again. He told Empire, "It was really a Hollywood fight, a don't touch my face kind of fight. It was an opedial thing, a rupture, because we all felt mad that he had left us. And somehow I was the anointed avenging angel who had to speak for everyone. But Chevy and I are friends now. It's all fine."
Number 3. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. So the tension between the rappers Cardi B and Nicki Minaj has been ongoing since 2017, with multiple disses, tweets, and general misunderstandings and miscommunications, aided by media narratives pitting the two women against each other. The feud eventually escalated into a physical altercation in 2018 at Harper Bazaar, New York Fashion Week event. Photos and videos of the incident show Cardi B being escorted out of the party barefoot with a sizable bump on her forehead, most likely caused by Nicki Minaj's security team who intervened when Cardi B threw a shoe at Nicki Minaj. The apparent incident that the two collided over was because Nicki decided to insult Cardi's parenting skills. After the clash, Cardi took to Instagram and said she let a lot slide, and because of the result of her interaction with Nicki, she had been questioning her capabilities as a mother. Nicki later came forward on her own radio show and threw shade at Cardi by saying, "Someone get this woman some help." Cardi then went to her Instagram to debunk Nicki's story.
Number 2. Jennifer Lopez and Mariah Carey. These two have been at each other's throats since the early 2000s. In fact, most people remember the iconic line that Mariah told a reporter when she said, "I don't know her." Although it sounds hilarious, Mariah has maintained her negative opinion of J-Lo all these years. For instance, she was once asked what she thought about Beyonce and J-Lo, and she responded by saying that they don't even belong in the same category. She said, "Well, it's hard. You can't really put those two people in the same category because one is in a really different generation. They just started singing later. But when you talk about Beyonce, I think she's wonderful. She's great. She's a talented person." But it seemed like she forgot to compliment J-Lo as well. A few years later, Mariah spoke to Andy Cohen and doubled down on her comments, saying, "I don't know her. What am I supposed to say?" So it looks like it'll take a miracle for these two iconic performers to ever be on good terms.
Number 1, we have Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan. Now, the pair have been frenemies for quite some time now. With the two of them often being pitted against each other in the tabloids, their feuds can get pretty messy when on full display for the world to see. The two were known to be best friends until 2006 when Lindsay was captured in a series of photos with Paris's ex-boyfriend. Paris was then captured in a video with her friend Brandon Davis, and you could hear the two making fun of Lindsay's career and body. Lindsay would then speak to Elle and say she would never fight with a woman over a guy because it's bad karma. By November of that year, the two seemed to have put their differences aside as they were captured in a picture on a girls' night out with Britney Spears. However, in 2018, Paris would shade Lindsay by saying the photo the paparazzi captured of the three girls in 2006 was just supposed to be a girls' night with her and Britney, and Lindsay chased after them to get in the car. Even today, the stars continue to bring up old beef with each other, and it's gotten to the point where enough is enough and the two just need to put their past in the past.
Number 10. Will Smith versus Janet Hubert. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to his successful time on the hit sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The show followed Will as the titular prince, living with his wealthy family in Bel-Air, surrounded by cousins, uncles, and of course, his Aunt Viv. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Whitten, but as many know, she was recasted after an on-set feud with Will Smith that went a little bit too far. According to Will, Janet viewed him as the antagonist of her life. She had been in the business for years when Will just suddenly popped into her life. She held a tinge of jealousy towards Will as he just walked into her town and got the gig. That's what happens when you're good at your job, Janet. She was trying to convince the producers to give her character more screen time and allow her to breathe on camera, but they said no because it was not the Aunt Viv show. She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she would be asked to sit out the rest of the series and be replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who is the Aunt Viv that we all know and love. Number 9. Lady Gaga and Perez Hilton. Ra ra ooh la la. Lady Gaga has been the queen of pop music for over 15 years, delivering hit after hit over and over again. Paparazzi, Poker Face, Just Dance, so good that it got its own game for the Wii. Back in 2009, she was actually very good friends with a man named Perez Hilton. For those who forgot this man exists, I do apologize for the triggering photographs that are surely on the screen right now. Perez is a famous blogger who in the early 2000s was the man with the inside scoop, but it was because he was being friendly, learning secrets and exposing them on the internet. Apparently, following the release of Lady Gaga's Born This Way, Perez was overwhelmingly negative about the project, and he actually egged her on one night while indulging in the no-no juice, trying to make her cry for a photo op. As you may guess, she decided to dump her fake friend from her life, which had a massive effect on Perez himself. Thanks to the public shame brought down on him by Gaga, and the rest of Hollywood did the same. He was slowly weaned out of the public eye, and hey, this is the first time you've heard about him in forever, so there you go. Number 8. Cardi B and Brian Zaz. This will not be Cardi's first time on this list, as she's been known to be quite temperamental. Last month, a small submarine imploded at the bottom of the ocean near the wreckage of the Titanic. Inside were 5 passengers, including the stepfather of one, Brian Zaz. Now, Brian is no one special. In fact, according to Cardi, nobody knew who he was until he told the world that his stepdaddy was on board the submarine. He did tell people in a strange way though. After the news of the sub being missing spread across the globe, Brian tweeted that he was worried for his stepdad, but that he still planned on attending the Blink-182 concert and tagged the band members. Like, they're gonna see that and go, oh, right on, little dude. He also mentioned his stepfather when tweeting a model of a website that's only for fans. Get it? Cardi B decided she needed to call this man out on his behavior. She claimed the boy was using Twitter for clout and that he should take the situation more seriously instead of partying with models and attending concerts. Well, Brian clapped back by calling her new music trash and claiming that he was using Blink-182 as a coping mechanism. Regardless of why this feud took place, Brian was forced to delete his account on Twitter, and Cardi received a little bit of backlash. Oh, and oh yeah, a submarine blew up. Number 7. Katy Perry and American Idol contestant. Recently, Katy Perry took to social media to announce that she wants to quit the successful singing competition American Idol after 6 years over fears that she is being thrown under the bus by producers who edit the show to make her seem like she's a nasty judge. Katy has faced a slew of controversy and scandal over the current season of American Idol, and it seems like it's all becoming just too much for her to bear. For those who don't know, on the recent season of American Idol, Katy Perry had an interesting reaction to a contestant revealing that she was a mother of 3 and much older than she looked. Katy stood up out of her chair and almost laid on the judge's table. The contestant, Sarah Beth, joked that if Katy laid on the table, she would die, and Katy responded with, "Honey, you've been laying on the table too much." At first, everyone laughed and this seemed all good and fun, but following her audition, Sarah announced that she would be going back to California to be with her family, claiming that she just wasn't cut out for show business. But she later took to Twitter to call Perry out for that joke, which was both mom shaming and something else shaming that I can't say on the internet. While this was a one-time incident, Katy has been known to be shady during her time as a judge, and her comments aren't always as helpful as I'm sure they're meant to be. Number 6. Vin Diesel versus Dwayne Johnson. Diesel and The Rock first crossed paths working together on the set of the 5th installment of the Fast and Furious franchise, Fast 5. Yeah, they're real clever with the names, these guys. Apparently their time on set was anything but romantic. According to crew members and cast on Fast and Furious sets, these two were constantly arguing on set over the littlest things. The Rock actually posted a comment aimed at Vin, calling his newest co-star a candy bum. Alright, he didn't say bum bum, but I'm not allowed to say the real word, so I must speak like a toddler. While rumors were flying left and right, these guys never made a public statement on the matter, but it was Johnson that confirmed that he and Vin never actually filmed their scenes together in Fate of the Furious, which might be why the movie felt so stitched together and just bad. The feud was so bad that instead of continuing to include his character in the franchise, it was decided that The Rock would just get his own spin-off buddy team-up movie with Jason Statham's Deckard Shaw, which is the backfire that landed him on this list, because while fans loved Hobbs and Shaw, everyone else called it a dud, and the movie was ultimately a flop. Number 5. Bill Murray versus Lucy Liu. Does anybody else just get the most hardcore Charlie's Angels flashbacks when they see these two together? No? Fair. Sony's first foray into the world of Charlie's Angels was a massive success when it was released, starring Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as the titular angels. The movie was filled with action, a little bit of comedy, and one of the strangest performances ever delivered by Crispin Glover. Seriously, that guy needs help. One interesting addition to the cast was the inclusion of Ghostbusters alumni Bill Murray as the man behind the microphone, Mr. Bosley. Apparently, the set was anything but a comedy after Bill found out a scene had been rewritten without his knowledge. In an interview with the news outlet Deadline, Lucy Liu spoke up about her time on set and the situation surrounding Bill's outburst. Apparently, Bill was away for a family event when a scene needed to be reshot for the movie, but instead of using a stand-in, it was decided that the scene could be filmed without Murray's character being involved, so it went on without him. When he returned to find that the change had been made while he was gone, he was furious and reportedly shouted at half of the crew, including Lucy herself. At first, she wasn't sure why he was aiming his comments at her. She didn't write the scene, she wasn't the director, so she asked if Bill was talking to her specifically, which apparently sent him into a full-blown meltdown. She decided to speak out on Bill's behavior on set, and he was ultimately written out of the sequel. Lucy is proud for speaking her mind despite being a relatively unknown actor at the time, and is very glad that Bill's career seems to have suffered for it, because Lucy was just the first of many celebrities to comment on his behavior. We'll save that for another time. Number 4. Will Smith versus Janet Hubert. Will Smith got his big break in the acting world thanks to his successful time on the hit sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The show followed Will as the titular prince, living with his wealthy family in Bel-Air, surrounded by cousins, uncles, and of course, Aunt Viv. In season 1, Aunt Viv was played by a woman named Janet Hubert Whitten, who, as many know, was recasted after an on-set feud with Will Smith just went a little bit too far. According to Will, Janet viewed him as the antagonist of her life. She had been in the business for years when suddenly this man popped into her life, and she held a tinge of jealousy towards Will as he just walked into town and he got a gig. Well, that's what happens when you're good at your job, Janet. She was trying to convince the producers to give her character more screen time and allow her to breathe on camera, but they said no because it was not the Aunt Viv show. She fought back hard, but it was ultimately decided that she would be asked to sit out for the rest of the series and be replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, who is the Aunt Viv that everybody knows and loves. Number 3. Tom Hardy versus Shia LaBeouf. Making a return on this list is Mr. Tom Hardy Hardy, but this time it's with Shia. This was an on-set feud that was innocent from the perspective of the actors, but not the people who were making their movie. In 2012, Shia and Tom starred in a period-piece crime drama called Lawless. It was a pretty solid movie featuring stellar performances from both of its leading men. In 2019, on an episode of the popular talk show Hot Ones, Shia addressed the rumors that he had knocked out his on-screen partner Tom during the shoot. According to Shia, the two were closer than people think and acted more like college buddies than enemies. Shia claims that the two would wrestle a lot on set and that it would sometimes distract people from their work. The rumor that he knocked Tom out was actually started by Tom after he fell down the stairs one night, and apparently he was getting ready for his role as Bane in Christopher Nolan's third Batman movie at the time, and Shia claims that the main reason he wanted people to think he was in a fight was, again, big tough guy. Their feud may have been innocent between themselves, but to everyone on the outside, Tom Hardy was about to pile drive Shia LaBeouf every 5 minutes. Number 2. Ray Fisher vs. Joss Whedon. Ray played a major role in the 2017 DC movie Justice League as Cyborg. Not only was this the first live-action iteration of the character for film, but he was also the first black superhero in a leading role in DC. According to Fisher, he was mindful of this and he delivered the best performance that he could, and honestly, it was a great performance. There have been way worse actors involved with DC, and Cyborg was one of the best parts of the 2017 version. Now, I keep saying that because, as some may not know, the original director of the movie, Zack Snyder, was forced to drop out of the shoot midway through production due to a personal tragedy. The studio decided to bring in Avengers director Joss Whedon to finish the project, and at first he was just supposed to direct the movie, but he ended up rewriting most of the script and reshooting several of the scenes already finished by Zack. This is where the tension started. Joss did not appreciate any outside input on his script, and Ray was a very vocal performer who wanted to stick to the original vision that Zack Snyder had. A vision that we actually got to see in 2021 thanks to the Snyder cut of the film being released. It's 2 more hours, but it's way better. Ray claimed that Joss was not only dismissive towards his ideas, but that he was an absolute monster to work with. Following the release of the film, Fisher voiced his complaints to DC and Warner Brothers, who opened a brief investigation into the situation, but quickly dismissed the case, claiming that there was insufficient evidence to prove he was telling the truth. Thankfully, several of his co-stars and crew members backed up those claims that Joss was a very angry, racist, and just manipulative boss, creating an extremely toxic environment on set. The backlash from fans, combined with the hashtag Snyder Cut, allowed Warner Brothers to finish Zack's original vision for the project and release a 4-hour Snyder Cut in 2021. Not only is Cyborg's storyline much better in this version, but the project overall is considered to be one of the best DC movies ever made. And at number 1, James Franco vs. Tyrese Gibson. So this feud was brought to my attention by a fellow host here at the studio, and I had never actually heard of this movie before today, but once I found out it was between James Franco and Tyrese, we had to include it on this list. These two starred opposite each other in a 2005 dramatic piece called Annapolis. The story follows Franco's character wanting to attend the titular Naval Academy and entering into a boxing tournament against some of the Navy's best and brightest. His main opponent is Tyrese Gibson. Throughout the majority of the filming, James and Tyrese would regularly practice the choreography for the final fight of the film. Now, method acting is one thing, when you just pretend to be someone else all the time and that's it. But it's different when you're literally punching your co-star for real. Instead of the normal film choreography allowing actors to fake hit each other, Franco was throwing real punches without warning. Gibson tried to be civil at first and asked him to lighten up. Franco ignored him and just continued to box his heart out. When asked about the incident in interviews, Franco defended himself by saying that he was aware that he made the set difficult at times and claimed to be so wrapped up in his role that he probably wasn't as friendly as he could be. Gibson, however, holds a massive grudge towards Franco, claiming that he would never step foot in the same room as this man ever again. Good news for Tyrese, James got cancelled and Fast 11's coming soon. Number 10. Tom Hardy vs. Charlize Theron. Mad Max Fury Road is a forgotten gem in cinema history. It featured little to no CGI despite having some insane visuals, and it also featured some stellar performances from its cast, including Nicholas Hoult, Charlize Theron, and Tom Hardy. Charlize and Tom played the main characters characters, Furiosa and Max, and while their on-screen characters ended up working together in the end, on set there was a very different vibe. Tom had a bad habit of showing up late all the time. Meanwhile, Charlize was a brand new mother who would be there on time every day while her kids were forced to be taken care of by someone else. In a book called Blood, Sweat, and Chrome, The Wild and True Story of Mad Max Fury Road, writer Kyle Buchanan shared an instance on set between Charlize and Tom. Everyone was on set at 8 AM ready to shoot except for Mr. Hardy. But to make a point, Charlize took her place and stayed there until Tom showed up. 3 hours later. She didn't move a muscle, and according to the crew, she was beyond furious. When Tom finally showed up, she asked him how he could be so disrespectful and said that they should fine this See You Next Tuesday $100,000 for every minute that he's held up the crew. Yeah, she didn't say see you next Tuesday, but the word she did say set Tom off. He rushed up to her and pulled out the whole "what'd you say to me?" thing, you know, like, oh, a big tough guy, I can't hear anything. Overall, Charlize felt very threatened by Tom and had to have an assistant follow her around on set as a buffer between the two. When the shoot wrapped, the tension was gone and things seemed to have gotten better, but the difficult shoot combined with the stress of the project is most likely the reason that there was never a Mad Max 2. Number 9. Ryan Gosling vs. Rachel McAdams. The Notebook is considered to be one of the greatest romantic movies ever made in Hollywood. Oddly enough, the on-screen couple did not get along at all during the shoot. They would constantly fight on set and seem to have completely different ideas on how several scenes should be played out. One day in particular was pretty exciting for anyone who wasn't involved, you know, drama watchers who were sipping their tea. Ryan called over the director and demanded that Rachel be replaced by another actress to read her lines with him. In front of 150 crew members, he claimed that Rachel wasn't giving him anything to work with, and the two would constantly yell on set. Their toxic on-set feud somehow morphed into a toxic relationship that lasted for 2 years. Anyone who worked on the set blames them for constant schedule setbacks and creating just an overall difficult work environment. Number 8. LL Cool J vs. Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx has been a huge star in the world of Hollywood over the years, working with several acclaimed directors in every genre under the sun, but like most actors, Jamie had to start somewhere, and that somewhere was in the film Any Given Sunday from 1999, alongside Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid, and of course, LL Cool J. Cool J and Jamie played teammates in the football-centric flick, and not only do their characters constantly fight on screen, but behind the scenes they had an actual brawl that ended in Miami County Police being called in. During one scene, the two were scripted to fight and filmed the first 2 takes as planned. However, some offset beef made its way in front of the camera when Jamie struck Cool J for real, splitting his lip open, and an all-out beatdown took place, leaving Jamie unconscious and in the hospital. They had to stop production because they weren't sure when Jamie would actually be able to return and film his scenes. When Fox did return to the set, it was with a small crew of friends and his manager. Waiting to greet them was LL Cool J and half of Brooklyn, according to the director, who stated that the tension was only settled after the real-life football players that the characters were based on came on set to defuse the situation. Number 7. Ryan Reynolds vs. Wesley Snipes. Ryan Reynolds is known for many things. He's got his toe dipped into the world of adult beverages, wireless cell phone coverage, and he's even a soccer coach. Or football for our friends in the UK. One of his most iconic roles as an actor is of course the Merc with the Mouth, Mr. Deadpool himself. However, in 2004, Ryan was a part of a different Marvel movie. As some may know, the original Marvel movie that started this whole live-action comic trend was the Blade trilogy, starring Wesley Snipes as the titular vampire hunter. By the time the 3rd movie of the franchise rolled around, Wesley Snipes was just kinda done with working on set. He hated the way the franchise was turning out, and all of his creative suggestions were quickly shut down. His main problem was the fact that Blade Trinity was written as like a straight-up comedy movie when the previous entries were more dark, action-based movies, filled with gore and some pretty stellar fight sequences. So when Van Wilder was cast to be his co-star, he kinda gave up. He famously refused to film several scenes unless he was allowed to wear his shades on set. Apparently he was like micro-napping during takes, because he just didn't care anymore. Ryan played a big part in his difficulty enjoying the shoot. Apparently he made it his mission to make Wesley snap. He'd constantly do bits, push things too far, and just the general Ryan Reynolds chaos that we're all used to at this point. At the end of the day, Blade Trinity ended up burying the franchise and was one of the most chaotic and toxic films ever made in 2004. So, number 6. Vin Diesel vs. The Rock. Remember everybody, family. That's it. That's my intro. Dwayne and Vin Diesel met on set of the 5th Fast and Furious movie, Fast 5. Very creative title. This was Vin Diesel's 5th movie, but it was Dwayne's first, not just in the franchise, but in the acting world in general. At first, everything seemed to be okay with these guys on set. Fast 5 made a lot of money, and they asked Dwayne to return for 6 and 7. However, something changed in 2016 when in a now deleted post Dwayne called one of his fellow Cast 7 co-stars a candied bum bum. He didn't say bum bum, but I'm not allowed to say that real word on the internet, so I must speak like a toddler. He actually said a word that rhymes with grass. Rumors began to fly that this was more than likely referring to Vin Diesel. Rumors proven only a week after that post was made. Following the premiere of Fate of the Furious, Johnson posted on Instagram thanking all of his fellow cast members by name, but he left Vin out of the equation. It was later confirmed by Fast and Furious co-star Michelle Rodriguez that there was a massive amount of tension on set of the film. They were bros at first, but as the time went on and the franchise evolved, so did their egos. They fought constantly over who should receive the most screen time and who was the real lead of the franchise. You know, toxic masculinity and all that. To keep both actors happy, Johnson was given a spin-off in which he co-starred as the lead alongside Jason Statham, and Vin Diesel was left right where he belongs, with his family. I know it's a bad impression, but it's a fun word to say in his voice.
First off, we have the infamous Selena Gomez, Kylie Jenner, Hailey Bieber feud that went viral on TikTok last year. If you're not in the loop, here is the lowdown. Hailey Bieber posted, then quickly deleted, a TikTok video fans say was aimed at Selena Gomez. Bieber posted a TikTok with her two friends, Justine Skye and Kylie Jenner, lip-syncing to the soundbite, and I'm not saying she deserved it, but God's timing is always right. Fans speculated it was a reference to Gomez being body shamed by the paparazzi earlier that day in photos of her wearing a swimsuit on vacation. Hailey Bieber quickly panicked and then deleted the TikTok, saying there is no drama. Days later, Bieber responded to speculation about her post, writing under a TikTok, quote, "I never comment on this type of thing, but we were just having a girls' night and did a random TikTok sound for fun. It's not directed at anyone." But 1 month later, Gomez says there is, in fact, drama. Selena Gomez commented on a TikTok video alleging Bieber was indeed shading her in the clip, writing, "It's okay, I don't let these things get me down. Be nice to everybody." But this is when things really kick off. Selena posted a video on TikTok mentioning that she accidentally over-laminated her eyebrows. Shortly after, Kylie Jenner posts a photo of herself on Instagram with the words, quote, "This was an accident," sitting directly over her eyebrows. Then Jenner goes on to post a close-up FaceTime selfie of both her eyebrows and Hailey Bieber's eyebrows. Yikes. Alright guys, our second celebrity feud is even worse, and it involves Kanye and Gigi Hadid. The feud began in October 2022 when Kanye wore a controversial t-shirt during his Yeezy Season 9 fashion show. He initially taunted Vogue editor Gabriella Johnson on social media after she was critical of his controversial statement shirt. Gigi Hadid then hit out on Instagram in defense of Gabriella, quote, "You wish you had a percentage of her intellect. You have no idea if there's actually a point to any of your belief. She might be the only person that could save you, as if the quote honor of being invited to your show should keep somebody from giving their opinion. LOL," she wrote, finishing up by slamming Kanye, telling him, quote, "You are a bully and a joke." The model claimed 2 days later that Kanye didn't treat late Off-White designer Virgil Abloh like a friend. Kanye posted a screenshot and wrote in all caps response, quote, "I'm not finna get ran over by Hollywood again. Gigi, you're a privileged Karen." He went on to add, "You were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You're a zombie. You speak up here but didn't speak up when my child was kidnapped on her birthday," referring to his claims that the Kardashian family kept him away from his daughter Chicago's 4th birthday party. Next up, we have Chris Rock and Will Smith. Viewers were left stunned when Will Smith crashed the Oscar stage and slapped Chris Rock over a joke about his then wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. Quote, "Jada, I love ya, G.I. Jane 2, cannot wait to see ya." The Everybody Hates Chris actor teased, seemingly referring to the actress's alopecia, an autoimmune disorder that causes hair loss. "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth," Will repeatedly shouted after sitting down following the altercation. In response, Chris said, "Wow dude, it was a G.I. Jane joke. I'm going to, okay?" Despite the drama, there seems to be no bad blood between the pair anymore. Sean Diddy Combs told Page 6 that it is not a problem, quote, "That's over. I can confirm that," he said at the Vanity Fair Oscars party later that evening. "It's all love," he added. "They are brothers." Next up, we have Taylor Swift versus Kim and Kanye. "I'ma let you finish, but..." Fans all remember when Kanye said that iconic phrase to Taylor Swift as she accepted her VMA award in 2009, but Kanye did not stop there. In 2016, he rapped, "Me and Taylor might still sleep together, I made that girl famous." Taylor said she never approved the line, but Kim tried to prove otherwise by releasing audio of their conversation without telling Taylor. When more audio leaked in 2020, fans learned a little bit more about what was really said in the secret phone call. At one point in the leaked phone call, Swift says, "I need to think about it, because you know, when you hear something for the first time, you need to think about it, because it's absolutely crazy. I'm glad it's not mean though." Later, Kanye says, "I'm gonna send you the song and send you the exact wording and everything about it, right? And then we could sit and talk through it." At the ending of the call, Kanye promises, quote, "I'm gonna go lay this verse and I'm gonna send it to you right now." Taylor says, "Send it to me. I'm so excited." Our next celebrity feud also involves the Kardashians, but this time with Caitlyn Jenner. The feud between Caitlyn Jenner and the Kardashians all started when Caitlyn told Diane Sawyer on 2020 that she identified as a woman. This was apparently the first time that Kris Jenner and the Kardashian Jenner family heard Caitlyn say that she was officially transgender. A few months after the interview came out, Caitlyn introduced herself to the world as a woman on the cover of Vanity Fair. The Kardashian/Jenner clan also claimed they didn't know about this until it came to the public. This was also the first time Caitlyn trashed her marriage to Kris Jenner. She claimed the reason for their divorce was, quote, 20% gender, but 80% the way I was treated. Caitlyn and Kris both disagreed on how much the momager knew about her husband's gender identity issues throughout their marriage. Quote, "A lot of the time she wasn't very nice," Caitlyn said in the piece. "People would see how I got mistreated, she controlled the money, all that kind of stuff. Everything she said is all made up," Kris claimed to her daughters in an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. "Why does everything have to be that Kris is such an a-hole?" she said in the episode. "I've never been so angry and disappointed at somebody in my entire life. I'm done," Kris claimed. This resulted in the family distancing themselves from Caitlyn and not speaking to her for months or years, depending on the family member.
Number 5, Taylor Swift versus Kanye West. That's right, these two are in a feud, and can you guess who suffered for it? I'll give you a hint. In 2009, Kanye interrupted Swift during MTV's Music Video Awards as she was in the middle of an acceptance speech for Best Female Music Video. He called Beyoncé's video the best of all time before awkwardly leaving the stage, but over the next few months, their rumored feud had become public, with Swift bashing Kanye's rude behavior during a time that was specifically set for her. Kanye later apologized and things seemed to be okay until 2015, when the rapper released a song called Famous, in which he said the line, and I'm paraphrasing of course because it's the internet, "I feel like me and Taylor may still make love. Why I made that be famous." Swift was very vocal about her dislike for the song and claimed that it was written to undermine her success. A few months later, Swift also put Kanye's then wife Kim Kardashian on blast after the influencer had publicly approved of the song's lyrics. Joke's on them though, as they had just made enemies with a woman who fuels her soul with haters. Kanye eventually canceled himself because it turns out he was not a good guy at all, so happy ending to that one. Number 4, Nicki Minaj versus Miley Cyrus. MTV, the channel that just continues to deliver us such juicy reality moments. MTV is responsible for the inception of one of the greatest award shows of all time, the Video Music Awards. This ceremony celebrates the best and brightest of the music industry, but in 2015 things got extra juicy. Miley Cyrus, remembered fondly as Hannah Montana and remembered for riding a wrecking ball, was hosting the ceremony and doing a pretty solid job. Rapper Nicki Minaj had just taken the stage after winning the Best Hip Hop Video Award, but quickly shifted the audience's attention from herself to the host. Minaj was calling Miley out for supposedly talking trash about her in a recent interview. She asked, "Hey Miley, what's good?" And Miley responded. She kept her cool and explained that everyone in the industry knows that news outlets and interviewers can manipulate footage to make comments sound worse than they actually are. She then reminded the audience about her difficult to watch performance at the ceremony in 2008 and threw an 80-foot picture of it up on the wall to emphasize her point. Minaj's mic was cut off and Miley introduced the list of artists being nominated for Best Future Artist before leaving the stage. Nicki loves to fight, but she received massive amounts of backlash from people attending the ceremony telling her to just leave the drama at home next time and let Miley do her thing. Number 3, Kanye West and Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson became the youngest cast member on Saturday Night Live when he was hired at the age of 20, and he was a massive part of the show until leaving it last season. In 2021, Kim Kardashian hosted an episode of the show and starred in a sketch with Pete parodying A Whole New World from the Disney movie Aladdin. The sketch was okay, but apparently sitting that close to each other all week really got him going. At the time, Kim was still involved with rapper Kanye West, who actually attended the live show, but he stormed out of the room following her scene with Pete. Apparently, Kanye had been present at rehearsals all week, and he remembers regularly seeing Pete and Kim smiling and laughing together while he was being ignored entirely, like a toddler standing in the corner just like, when's it my turn? Kanye called out Pete online telling him to stay away from his woman. Well, Kim didn't like that kind of behavior at all, and not long after their feud was made public, Kim and Kanye began their divorce process, and simultaneously Pete announced that him and Kim were officially dating. Since then, Kanye has publicly bashed both his ex and Pete for their actions. You mad, little Kanye? That sucks. Number 2, Isaiah Washington versus Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy is a TV drama centered on the personal and professional lives of 5 surgical interns and their supervisors. The show garnered a massive fan base and was on air for over 420 episodes. For 62 of those episodes, a man named Isaiah Washington portrayed the character of Dr. Preston Burke. Following his departure from the series, Isaiah took to social media to call out the cast and crew of Grey's Anatomy for creating a hostile work environment. It was actually later revealed that apparently Isaiah himself was responsible for the so-called hostility. He had started multiple feuds with fellow cast members, including a physical altercation with Patrick Dempsey on set. He used homophobic slurs against T.R. Knight, and he threw shade at Katherine Heigl for throwing shade at him for using that slur. Needless to say, this is a very one-sided feud, as the Grey's producers just simply shut the door in this guy's face and told him to take a hike. Maybe next time you'll respect your workplace, Isaiah. Number 1, Cardi B versus Aja Davies. In 2017, rapper Cardi B and model Aja Davies appeared on an episode of VH1's Love and Hip Hop talk show. Things became heated very quickly when the topic of Aja's ex-boyfriend Swift came up. According to Davies, she was convinced that Cardi and Swift were intimate together while she was still dating him. Cardi responded to the accusation by throwing her stiletto at her face and then jumped up and began making her way towards the model, but was stopped by 2 large security guards. Good thing too, considering on the other side of the room, Aja had done the same thing and was also being held back. An all-out brawl almost took place, but the altercation resorted to the pair yelling at each other from across the room, with Cardi's main grievance being the judgment being placed upon her by Davies for being an exotic dancer before her time as a music artist. Like, where did that come from? Their career suffered dips in sales as their fans weren't sure what to make of the feud. Whose side should they be on? Well, things are better now, but their careers have never been the same.
Next up, we have Taylor Swift and Katy Perry, the battle of the pop singers. Backup dancers became a source of contention for Katy and Taylor back in 2013. Quote, she tried to sabotage an entire arena tour, Taylor said, without calling out Katy by her name. Despite their bad blood, Katy gave her rival Taylor a literal olive branch in the mail before her Reputation tour. The two famously squashed their beef while dressed up as a burger and french fries in Taylor's You Need to Calm Down music video. Next up, we have Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. It's the simple life until some drama starts. Fans still don't know why Paris and Nicole had a falling out, but it was rumored that Nicole showed Paris's leaked S-tape at a party celebrating Paris's February 2005 Saturday Night Live hosting gig. It's no big secret that Nicole and I are no longer friends, Paris said. Hopefully, they have made amends since. Next up, we have Jordyn Woods and Kylie Jenner / Khloe Kardashian. It was a kiss heard around the world after Khloe Kardashian's man, Tristan Thompson, was caught cheating with her sister's BFF, Jordyn Woods, Kylie's best friend. All hell pretty much broke loose. After the model came clean and admitted that she and Tristan shared a smooch, Khloe dropped her immediately, and it wasn't long before Kylie Jenner was following suit as Jordyn moved out of Kylie's house. You are the reason my family broke up, she yelled on Twitter, but years later the BFFs seem to have reconciled. In an interview, Kylie talked to Jennifer Lawrence about how her friendship with Jordyn Woods has changed since the incident. My last question is a little intense, but we all want to know, Lawrence told the Kylie Cosmetics mogul. Obviously, there was a huge trauma many years ago, but we've recently seen that you you are friends with Jordyn Woods again. How is that? How did that happen? What's up? Jordyn and I, we always stayed in touch throughout the years, and we would meet up at my house and catch up and just talk through everything, Kylie replied, revealing that the two had, quote, never fully cut each other off. This past July, Jenner and Jordyn made their first public joint outing together since the scandal. One day, naturally, we were like, we want to get sushi and we don't want to hide anymore. Jenner continued, there's a learning lesson in everything, and I think that in a weird way, everything happens how it's supposed to happen. We were so attached at the hip that we needed space to grow into the people that we were supposed to be. I needed that independence and that confidence because she was like my security blanket for so long. Next up, we have 50 Cent and Madonna. In December 2021, 50 Cent began a feud with Madonna when he mocked a selfie she posted on Instagram. Following his comment, the Like a Virgin singer fired back by sharing a photo of the pair together in 2003. Here's 50 Cent pretending to be my friend, she wrote alongside the photo. Now you've decided to talk smack about me. I guess your new career is getting attention by trying to humiliate others on social media. The least elevated choice you can make as an artist and as an adult. 6 months later, in June 2022, the rapper criticized another photo of Madonna and compared her to an alien. I hope she didn't make her kids take this picture, LOL. At 63, somebody tell her to chill out please, he wrote through Instagram alongside the snap in question. In November 2022, 50 Cent continued to call out Madonna by criticizing her TikTok video that showed her staring into the camera as she mouthed the lyrics to a song. I told ya, grandma was on bull. Like a virgin at 64, LOL. 50 Cent captioned another screenshot from the clip through Instagram. Yikes. Our final celebrity feud goes to Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell. The two supermodels infamously clashed in the 90s. Tyra spoke to the Wall Street Journal back in 2019 and recalled her feud with the British model. It wasn't a rivalry, she said, and I'm very sensitive to that word because a rivalry is with two equals, where one here was very dominant. She was a supermodel and I was just some new girl that got on a plane from Paris and was studying fashion in magazines at a fashion library. Tyra claimed Naomi didn't make her feel welcome in the modeling industry when she started walking the runways. In 2005, Tyra and Naomi seemed to have squashed their beef when they reunited together on Tyra's talk show.